Ruchem Abayim, Dir Chaborov, Kol HaTorah Kula, going through the entire Torah Sheba'al Peh with the Rambam in our lead as we move along one Perek day. Very, very gishmak. I want to remind all those that we just welcomed, that joined us, that each Perek is be'etzem a standalone. Rambam Seder is lahafli. It's known between all, between the Rishonim, Mamish, how he codified and how he was mesader, all the series and sets of halachas, svarim, down to the Perek and the halacha, and therefore, even if you missed one Perek, you start the next one, it's a standalone. And where's beginning Perek Beis? Please be with us. And Yishakoyach again to the Talmidim of Kita Gimel for hosting this year. Perek Beis of Hilchos Tshuva, let's see inside. Very good. Halacha Alf. Till now, the Rambam described what a person has to do for Tshuva. Now the Rambam is going to give us the background. What's the intent of Tshuva and how it's meant to impact change in the life of a person. More the Ruchni Tshuva and the Avodah. Dr. Rambam. Ezri Tshuva Gemara. What's considered complete and effective Tshuva? If he has another, the Eibishter gives him another opportunity to transgress. And the second time, he acts differently. The Rambam is going to bring an example. But he's still, now when he stumbles upon the same scenario, he has the opportunity to do the Aveira, and he refrained. He moved away and didn't transgress because of this tshuva. That is the most perfect tshuva. And that's why when a person has an opportunity to do the mistake again, and he has to rejoice, Chaparai, now's your time to wipe out the problem from its core. And the best is if it's not because now when he has the other opportunity, he's afraid someone's going to see him or afraid of punishment or mikishlan koyach. He doesn't have the koyach now. And Rambam gives an example. Ketzad, for example, a person had a forbidden relation with a woman, and then afterwards he had the opportunity to be with the same woman again in privacy. No one saw. He still has that same lust and that same love towards her, and he still has the same might in his body, and he's in the same type of context. And now he refrained and wasn't together, it wasn't over. Zehu Baal Tshuva. Gemara says the Rambam, this is a person that's a complete Baal Tshuva. This is what Shlomo Melech, the wisest of men, was referring to when he said, remember your creator when you're young, in your choicest dates. Zakh the Rambam, what happens if a person only did Tshuva when he became older? And he didn't have koyach anyways. And he didn't have the ability anyways to do the Aveira, but still he reminded himself, I ate what I shouldn't have, and then now he doesn't have teeth b'chlal. Now he can't go out to buy. Now whatever it is, still his tshuva is accepted. Even though it's not the best form of tshuva, this is definitely effective and it helps him. Ubal tshuva, and is it considered a bal tshuva? They won't mention anything when it comes to Maila. Afilu, says the Rambam, much more than that. Afilu avar kol yom, of all the days of his life he was busy transgressing. But also tshuva, and he did tshuva b'yoyim misasa, and his last day on earth. Omeis b'tshuvasa, and he passed on after doing tshuva. Kol avanos of nimchalim, all his aveiros have been erased, as the Rambam quotes from the pasuk, shenemar ad asher lo yitechshach hashemesh, until the sun doesn't darken. Ba'oir and the light, va'yerech va'kachavim. Still the clouds can move away after the rainy time, which means the way the Meirel Primishlan flag zogin. As the Meirel flag zogin. As Kol's man, the fire brent, the lichtel brent, kamenach verrichten. Once late at night, and someone came to the Meirel of Primishlan, he wanted to stay by him, and he saw flickering flame, and he said that the Meirel had them gesagt, that Koloi, the Lichtel brand, Kemenach Verrichten. He saw, I think it was I don't remember the details of the story. I think Meir for Mishlan was looking for a place to sleep, and he saw Taylor tailoring a clay, the garb. And he said to him, why are you working so late at night? So he said, Kol's man, the Lichtel brand, Kemenach Verrichten. The Meir used to quote this Schneider, this tailor, and say, as long as the Lichtel Brent, as long as our neshama is still on fire, and we're still in this world, Kemenach Verrichten, as the Rambam has now said. Shu Yom HaMisa. Now, Michlal, Shim Zochar Boider, we learn from here that if he remembered his creator, V'shav koydem shiyamos, and he repented, he returned to the Eibishter before he passed on, nislach loy, right away, it is forgiven to him. And hold on tight, Kidlah, we're going into Siv Beis, and we're going to move a little schneller. Ma'ya tshuva, what is considered the real tshuva, the impact that's meant to have on him? He should not only let go of the sin, he should take it away from his mind. And he should be resolute. He decides a firm decision and conviction in his heart. He's never going to do it again. He completely leaves his path. That's in regards to the future. He decides he's not going to do it again. He also, in regard to the past, he regrets. The pasuk says, "Ki acharei shuvi nichamti." After I returned, which is the ma'aseh, he's not going to do it again. Nichamti, he regrets what happened. To the extent that the Eibishter, that knows what's hidden in one's heart, he could testify that from the state of mind where he is right now, he's never going to do it again. As the pasuk says, we're not going to refer again to the doings of our hands, which means what we create, what we built, different idols that we're going to name it our deity. Everything that we have just mentioned, that he's resolute about and he has regrets the past, all this he should confess verbally with his lips. Halacha Gimel. Now, says the Rambam, the huge tipshus. Anybody that confesses with his lips, but in his heart of hearts, he's not really convinced that he's going to let go of this Aveda. He's still, says the Rambam, he's similar to a person, he's toiveling to become pure from his impurity, from his sheret that made him tummy, and he's still holding on to it. What are you saying? I'm sorry. You're still planning to do it? You're not sorry. You have to let go completely of the sheret. Someone that he agrees and he completely confesses and he lets go of the Aveda Yerucham, he should be granted compassion. The Eibishter will erase the Aveda. However, he has to spell out what exactly the Aveda was when he's talking to the Eibishter. Shenemar, ono, when the Navi was telling the Eibishter, he said exactly what the sin was. That this nation did a tremendous sin, and they made golden getchkes, idols, or referred to the Egel Azab as their god. Halacha Dalet. Now, one thinks he finished tshuva. Now he goes back to living a regular life. Says the Rambam, no. A person has to continue living continuously all the days of his life in the mindset of tshuva. Zok the Rambam Halacha Dalet midarkei tshuva, from the ways of tshuva. Liyas hashav, the person that did tshuva, he should continuously cry out before the Eibishter with crying and supplication. And he should give charity based on his capacity, his abilities, and stays the farthest he could from anything he said. So much so he shouldn't identify himself. He should try to change his name and disassociate himself from the whole context of the Aveda, tries to move to a different place. Why? Saying that I'm a different person. I'm not the same person that did those Avedas. He takes away the 5 steps before that led him towards the Aveda. He stops being frivolous and stops being lightheaded in regards to many other things. All his maisim is mashana l'tovel derech yishara, the proper path of his perspective. He exiles from the place where he lived. Shegolos mechaperes oven, because we know that the golos itself that atones for Avedas. Why? Because this exile, when a person is not, he's stationary. He's not in his kavudik place. It causes him to be more humble, more low-spirited. He doesn't look at himself so. Yeah, and halacha hey, v'shevach gadol hashav. It's a special, great privilege, and not a privilege is praiseworthy for a person that does tshuva to go public with the fact that he's doing tshuva and to even confess publicly. However, this is only bein adam l'chaverei. Sheisvad barabim. He should confess publicly v'yodia pshav lahem, and he should notify them all his sins. Befrat, if it was, like we said, pshaim is lahachis. Umegal aveira shebeina leben chaveroi. He publicizes the sins between him and his friends lachedim, And he says, it's true that I've sinned against this and this person, and I did to him this and this. Now I'm returning, and I regret. Anyone that is haughty, he holds himself too high, and is too balgaiva to notify, he conceals what he did. It's not a complete tshuva. He has to be proud of the fact that he is letting go. A person that conceals his averis is not successful with his tshuva. In which case do we say a person should publicly confess that there are averis between him and his friend, from man to man. Those that are between averis that between him and the Eibishter. Not only he doesn't need to publicize, it's an audacity and it's a chutzpah for him. If he publicizes, then he exposes it. Why? Because it tells people that people that don't really care for the Eibishter Rahman al-San. People just know that everyone follows what the Eibishter says. What he should do is he should return before the Eibishter and he should spell out and enumerate all his sins before the Eibishter, and he confesses l'fnei rabim stam, and he could confess publicly, however, without specifying what his aveira was. It's better, it's greater for him that his sins are not revealed. It says asher nisui pesha, the one that carries sin, however, ksui chata, his sins are covered, concealed. Now, now we're moving into Aseres Yemei Tshuva. What happens then that all of a sudden we consider it much better, opportune time? They're called Yemei Tshuva. Dr. Ramba. Even though crying out to the Eibishter, it is always a good thing and a beautiful thing. The 10 days between and including Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, beautiful sikha of the Rebbe on this, why Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are included in the 10 days that are supposedly Bein Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim. One should learn it. In those 10 days, it's the most beautiful. And it's right away accepted on high. It says, you should search for the Eibishter when he's found, but that these are the days when the Eibishter is closer, nearer to us. Now, in which case do we say that those are the best days to do tshuva? When we're talking about a private citizen, a person who's on his own. When we're talking collectively, a tzibra community, as long as they gather together and they repent and they collectively decide to cry out to the Eibishter with a complete heart, and they will always be answered. Like the Eibishter are Mika Hashem Elokeinu B'chol Koreinu Olav. That always, when we call out collectively together, the Eibishter accepts. Now halacha zayin. Beyond, they'll say Tshuva. Now says the Rambam, there is a day called Yom Kipper, in the Day of Atonement, whose man Tshuva lakoil. This works for everybody. L'yachid l'rabim. V'ukeitz mechila oslichel Yisrael. It's the appointed and specific designated time for the Eibishter to atone and cleanse Bnei Yisrael and to forgive them. Lefichach, and for this reason, chayav makol asas tshuva. They all have to repent, even those that seemingly didn't do tshuva. The Eibishter didn't do averis. The Eibishter set this day as a day of atonement, and he wants everybody to recount and examine their actions. And therefore, everybody needs to do tshuva and to confess on Yom Kippur. Now, when exactly on Yom Kippur do you confess? Sagt der Rambam, the mitzvah is he should start even before the day comes in, so he should come in pure. And when do you do it? Before you eat Sudas HaMafsekes, right? It's a fast day, 26 hours. And the way to do it is before you sit down for Sudas HaMafsekes, you say, we do it after Mincha, you say vidu. Why? We're afraid that a person is finishing the bill of last year. Maybe a person will choke in a Su'udah before he has the opportunity to confess, and we want him to start already the avodah of tshuva. Even though he said vidu before he ate, before he says again vidu when Yom Kippur comes in. He says throughout the whole vidu at the beginning of Yom Kippur. And the next five tefillos of the day, which are connected the Nefesh Ruach Neshama Chaya Yechida, opens the highest heavens in the Ilah. So where exactly do you do this vidu? So Yachid, a private person, when he's davening and still after he concludes Ois Shalom. And before Ois Shalom, after he finishes the last time Baruch Samei Shalom Shalom, or Shliach Tzibur, however, be'emtza tfilas bracha revis in the fourth bracha, he says the vidui, and we say together with him, Slach no, Kaper no, yeah. Halacha ches havidui shenagu b'kol Yisrael. The vidui that's accepted, the nusach, the that we all do is the following: Avol anachnu chatanu. We have all sinned. Kulanu. That's some nusach. Ikra vidui. This is the main point of vidui, to confess that we sinned. Obviously, it's better to tight choice. Now, if he already confessed on these avedas and he did tshuva, comes next Yom Kipper, you should say again, remind yourself those things, because a yid gets more refined, as is masber in Pnimis HaTorah, and to the higher refined level where he reached, the aveda has not been cleansed on that realm. He again says vidui in the next Yom Kippur, even though he still retains his tshuva from last time, and he's still in the same state of mind. Because I know my sins, and they will forever stand before my eyes. Halacha test. They will only tshuva in general, and Yom Kippur itself, only for avedas that are between a yid and the Eibishter. If he ate something prohibited, or he had forbidden relations, a person hurt his friend, a person took something from his friend. No. He hurt his friend, he cursed his friend, embarrassed his friend. He stole something. It will never be forgiven until he repays his friend what he owes him. And in addition, he appeases him, makes him feel good, and makes him, he irons it out. Even if you paid back the money that you owed him, you have to appease him and ask him to forgive. Even if the only thing he did was he pained his friend with words, right? He has to try to appease him and come meet him again until he forgives him completely. What happens if you come back to your friend? Friend says, you embarrassed me in front of other people. So he knows it's not enough to just pay back. He comes to him and he says, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. I don't want to do it again. And his friend was so embarrassed that he says, no, it doesn't work. He has to try again. Maybe he tries to bring 3 of his friends together with him, and they meet him, and now publicly. This obviously will help him forgive. It's not just between me and you. Other people know that you have charata for what you embarrassed me. And what happens? Maybe he wasn't appeased and doesn't want to forgive. Maybe another 2 times he brings 3 friends. After 3 times, the aveda becomes the one that was hurt and was embarrassed. The one that hasn't forgiven, it's his problem. He's the sinner now. This is all if it was other people. What happens if it was your malamed? There's someone that taught you Torah. Zakter, it never will become his problem. You should come back and bring people and again try to appease him even 1,000 times. Until he actually is ready to forgive. Halacha Yud. Now we're talking about on the receiving end. Also, a person is not going to be wicked, and not to forgive and not to be appeased. He should always be easy to appease and to make again shalom. And it should be very hard to anger him. And when someone that sinned against him asks him to forgive, one should forgive with a complete heart, but with nefesh chafetz, and with a willing spirit and soul. Even if he oppressed him and sinned against him a lot, do not take revenge. We learned what Nekima Natira. We learned already what Nekima Natira is in those days. The Nekamas, he does back again negative to him, because like you did to me. And Yitter is that he harbors a negative approach and a masari to his friend. So he says, I'll lend you. I'm not like you that you did to me bad. I'm going to do good. He reminds him from his of it. So he shouldn't be that way. Iron it out completely, start fresh. V'zeu darkam shel Yisrael, v'liba manachin. This is the way of true Torah Yidden, and those that are Yiddish offspring. Goyim that don't have an uncircumcised heart, they're not soft-hearted. They're not that way. El bavrasan shamra netzach ebra is mashon kas. Their kas they maintain and they harbor forever. V'cheinu oimer al hagivonim. I'm going to share with you the story of the Givonim. Like Givonim, you know that Shaul HaMelech, when he was chasing David HaMelech, because David HaMelech went to the Kohen in Noiv, Ira Kohenim, and he gave him a sword and gave him bread. He gave David HaMelech a sword that David HaMelech killed Goliath with. So Shaul was so angry, he killed out the entire city of Noiv, Ira Kohenim. Tremendous Aveira. He felt that they're joining forces with his enemies, with the David HaMelech that rebels against him. And therefore, he wiped out the entire city. A sidekick was that the Gevonim were those that came in days of Yeshua. They're really from Eretz Yisrael, but they dressed up as if they come from faraway land. And they came and said, we want to make peace. And Yeshua made peace with them, even though they're from the Shiva Amamin that he shouldn't have made peace with. And therefore, because they gave their word, they were accepted, but they made them shoyavei mayim. They were water carriers. They would cut wood. And they served Noiv Yerakonim. And when the entire city of Noiv was wiped out, they didn't have any work anymore. And they harbored animosity to Shaul HaMelech. And therefore, after Shaul HaMelech's passing, years later, David HaMelech saw there's so much bad befalling Yidden, and he knew there was a problem. And he searched and found, Al Pi Beis Din, that the problem was that no one appeased the Givonim. So he told them, what do you want to do? They said, we want to hang the 7 sons of Shaul HaMelech for what he did to us. And Al Pi Beis Din, David HaMelech did it. But because they couldn't let go, and they couldn't forgive without such a rash oynish, because the fish they are not from the Yidden, the Givonim. They're not, because that's not what Yidden do. If someone sinned against his friend, and now before he had a chance to ask forgiveness, his friend passed on before he asked mechila. Maybe Asar Bnei Adam, he brings 10 Yidden, he brings them to his resting place, to the person that was offended, by his kaver, by his plot. He says before them, I've sinned against the Eibishter, the God of the Yidden, and to this specific person. And he spells out, I did such and such. That's how he regrets and is mefayis. He appeases. And obviously, if he owes him money, he has to give it to the heirs, those that inherit from him. He doesn't know of any Yershim. He places the money in Beis Din and he confesses. Yishar Koyach for being with us throughout Perek Beis of Hilchis Tshuva. Shkoyach for being part of our Chabura, learning and going through Kol HaTorah Kula, cruising through the entire Teshuva Perek. Yishar Koyach Kita Gimel for hosting Shir of Perek Beis.